Okay, good evening, students. Yeah, we're talking about the history of English literature, and we were discussing the great age of uh, the literature, that is Elizabethan age. And Elizabethan age, we have discussed yesterday. We have discussed about the development of the drama, how the drama have went through the three core parts, that is pre-Shakespearean drama, drama with Shakespeare, and drama after Shakespeare. So, as we just go forward and see the development of the drama which has took place in this age was on the evergreen basis. So, when you talk about this evergreen basis, that would be the thing which I would like to discuss here. That this drama had laid a red carpet to the writers uh, who seek creativity and their writing, and who just looking for the stage to um, give their performance, or let's say to express or to show off their works. And this was the time where we can see that these people become successful. In that case, we have to admire these university wits, those who had played a very important role in the development of the drama at the very early stage in the Elizabethan age. And this was the people, they had helped William Shakespeare a lot to reach the on the zenith. So as we move forward and see the uh, the contribution of these university wits, those who were very scholar people, studied in Oxford and Cambridge kind of universities, they actually uh, the people who know the phenomena, who know the gist. Okay, so as we move forward and see and try to find out these all things, it would be beneficial for us to just go with the flow and see the contribution of the different uh, university weeks. So yesterday we had talked about the John Lilly, one of the person who um, was a very famous one, but most neglected in this scenario. So the next one today, which I would like to discuss with you, that is the George Peele. His time frame is from 1556 to 1596. George Peele was an English translator, poet, and dramatist. He is most famous for his this collaborative work with writing with William Shakespeare, and on the play this Titus Andronicus. So he is the one who had mm, worked with William Shakespeare on the one play called Titus Andronicus. Uh, yeah, this is the one thing you must have an idea about him. That is, he also famous for some of his historical plays. So, the arrangement of Paris was the one. Then Edward First and the Battle of the Alcazar. Um, we have the question on the Edward First and Battle of the Alcazar. Some of the people, they they may confuse between the Alcazar, sorry, Edward First, written by him, and the same one with the same title by the William Shakespeare also. So the arrangement of Paris, it was presented by the children of the Chapel Royal before the Queen Elizabeth in 1581 and printed anonymously in 1584. So in the play, Paris is arranged before Jupiter for having a sign by the apple to Venus. So this is a kind of story. Again, the base we can find over is the religious um, Dinah, with whom the final decision in the race, gives the apple to none of the competitioners but to a nymph called Eliza, a reference to Queen Elizabeth. So again, this was written to praise Queen Elizabeth. And as we move forward, is Edward First. It was a famous chronicle of the King Edward the First, and this chronicle history written in 1593 is an advance on the old chronicle plays and marks a step towards the Shakespeare's historical drama. As you go forward and see, he was the one who described uh, London life and specifically national sentiments through his writings. And his Edward First is considered as, or it's called as, the first history play in uh, in the realm of British literature. So he's famous for um, old wives' tale. Old wives' tale. When you talk about it, it's actually a satire on the drama. Old wives' tale. Yeah, here only we have the old wives' tale. I'm not going that much deep, so just have a look on it and have a see the summary, or let's say mm, the key points regarding the old wives' tale. Novel also by Arnold Bennett, published in 1908. So most of us will get confused, but yeah, Arnold Bennett, the second name which we have to keep into the mind while talking about this George Chills, the old wives' tale. But this one, as I told you, this old wives' tale is satire on the drama. Okay, it is it's considered as his masterpiece, satire on the popular drama of the day, and he has used the theatrical device of the play within a play. Play within a play. Um, it is criticized as confusing fumble of theatrical nonsense. That is the another thing, because we know the critics who just come up with the sharp uh, critic, or what to say, they just criticize very sharply. So some words were very touchy. So this is the thing we can find over here also, that it is criticized as confusing fumble of theatrical nonsense. Other have called it a fantastical comic romance. Now, this is only the perspective of the critics looking towards uh, this play. Someone feel it is like theatrical nonsense, but uh, some others feel like it was a fantastical, comical, comic romance. Okay, yeah. Again, this play has been identified as the first English work to satirize the romantic dramas popular at that time. So we know that romantic dramas became very famous, and people was very happy to read them, and that's why this is considered as one of the satire on these romantic dramas of, of the period. Okay. The plot centers around three young men who become lost in the woods but are given shelter for the night by the Clunch, a blacksmith, and his wife Madge, that eponymous old wife. So his old wife stand for this Madge. Okay. During this day, one retired to bed with Clunch, while the other two are entertained by their hostess, who tells them a fairy tale, which to her surprise comes to life. Her characters appearing and telling it for her the play within the play kind of situation. So one strand of the plot involves two brothers who are on an adventure searching for their sister Delia, who is being held captive by the this magician Sakrapan. It compares, actually it has a kind of comparison with the Milton's Homer, and the magician also captures the brothers, and eventually they are all rescued by the night, aided by the ghost, who is motivated by gratitude for past acts of kindness by the night. So this is a kind of story, and the title, The Old Wives' Tale, was associated with the economist old wife of the Clunch, a blacksmith, and his wife Madge. This is one biblical tragedy also which is written by him. The love of King David and Sir Bathsheba. It was written in 1588 but published in 1599. So it's a biblical tragedy. And Sir Clamon and Sir Clavidas are the minor kind of works written by him. So this is about the George Peel. Okay. The next person I would like to discuss with you. Yeah, again one thing I would like to tell you, that is this Titus Andronicus, which was written uh, with Shakespeare. It has this concept called a farewell to arms, which was again a very famous work written by the one of the modernist writers. So Robert Greene, Thomas Lodge. The next university we hit is Thomas Lodge. Is again contemporary to William Shakespeare. Um, he was the son of Sir Thomas Lodge, Lord Mayor of the London. He was educated at the Merchant Taylor School. He wrote this defense of plays in reply to Stephen Goson's School of Abuse. So, School of Abuse was answered by two great writers. One we know, that is Philip Sidney, which he has written an apology for poetry. And the second one we have, that is the uh, Thomas Lodge. He has replied the School of Abuse as an defense of play. Lodge is considered as a young juvenile of Green's growth work of wit. A Margaret of America, that is his first most important romance of Lodge, in which these combines Senecan motives. Yeah, again these Senecan motives and Arcadian romance in an improbable love story. So again, he just tried to craft these two things within a one play. The name of the play is A Margaret of America. He just tried to uh, give a kind of uh, romantic kind of move to this play by adding, let's say, combine Senecan motives and Arcadian romance. Okay. Again, Lodge also wrote this pamphlet uh, in reply to Stephen Greenwald. Pamphlet writing was started in this period, and he was again one of the person who had given a kind of a move toward to the pamphlet writers. Pamphleteers was considered as the starting or the initiators of the newspaper or the news journalist. So he made voyage to Canary Island, and his dramatic works are A Looking Glass for London and England. This is considered as famous work by him, A Looking Glass for London and England. It was written in collaboration with Robert Greene, and he was the one who also written one book called The Wounds of Civil War. The Wounds are Civil War, and he also famous for his Roseland. Okay, when you talk about his Roseland, this book was very close to As You Like It, written by William Shakespeare. So some scholars they will say that William Shakespeare has taken inspiration from Thomas Lodge to written down this play called As You Like It. Okay. Yeah, this one, Rosalind or Ipswich's Golden Legacy. This is the source of Shakespeare's As You Like It. The same thing which I have told you. And an alarm against unusual. Uh, it exposed the ways in which his moneylenders use young heirs into extravagant and debt. So this is the thing from Thomas Lodge. And yeah, Phileas Metamorphosis is an Ovidian verse fable, again inspired by the Ovid and written in the different way. Again, it became a kind of inspiration for William Shakespeare to write down Venus and Adonis. Yeah, the one thing I would like to tell you over here, that is a fig for Momus. A fig for Momus, when you talk about it, it introduced classical satire and verse epistles for the first time into English. So you might have asked me, sir, yeah, we have an idea about the satire, rigid satire, uh, then the contemporary satire. So what is this classical satire? So again, this is a part of your basic stuff, a basic knowledge which we had gained in our not masters, but specifically in our graduation, second or third years of graduation or first year of the master. So, but this was a kind of theoretical part, but as a concept, we must have an idea about it. Okay. The next person we have as an university wit as Thomas Nash. Thomas Nash was again considered as an pioneer. Um, yeah, I'm using this word pioneer of his epistolary novel, because he is the one who considered uh, as the originator of picaresque kind of novel. He has written works called The Unfortunate Traveler or Life of Jack Whitton and Unfortunate The Unfortunate Traveler, Life of Jack Wilson. Yeah, this one. He was a pamphleteer, poet, dramatist, and author of the book, the first picaresque novel in English. He was educated at University of Cambridge. In 1599, he wrote The Anatomy of Absurdity and The Preface to Dreams, Menaphone. He wrote preface to Thomas Newman's unauthorized edition of the Astrophel versus Astrophil. Okay. Astrophel versus Astrophil. Pierce Penniless, his supplication to the devil, a satire focus on the seven deadly sins, was Nash's most distinctive work. Pierce Penniless. I think we have a question on this Pierce Penniless in state exam. One of the state exam. कुठल्या तरी एका स्टेट एक्झाम मध्ये आपल्याला पीएस पेनिलेसचा क्वेश्चन विचारला गेलेला आहे. सो दिस वुड बी बेनिफिशियल. Yeah, again this one, Dido, the Queen of the Carthage, supposed a collaborative work with the Christopher Marlowe. So yeah, we'll discuss this also when we talk about the Christopher Marlowe. But as we move forward and see, these writers, they had contributed a lot in the development of the English drama in its early stage, and as they were the scholar, they were studied in universities like Oxford and Cambridge. They have the proper knowledge how to navigate the language, how to use the words. Again, as the English was their mother tongue, they know how to use the language in the proper sense. ओके, जसं आपण म्हणतो ना की मराठी गोल भाषा आहे, फिरवता येते बरोबर, आणि त्याचे खूप वेगवेगळे उदाहरणं आपल्याला माहिती पण आहेत. ठीक आहे, पॉझिटिव्ह निगेटिव्ह दादा कोंडके सगळ्यांनाच माहिती आहे. सेम थिंग वी कॅन फाइंड इन देअर नेटिव्हनेस. Okay. In English also the same thing happened, and some writers had uh, played a very important role to the enrichment of English language, and Thomas Nash one of them. So Dido the Queen of Carthage supposed a collaborative work with the Christopher Marlowe, and his Fierce Penniless was, as I told you, one of the famous work which had what we can say, given a kind of different angle to the contemporary drama. So, but I would like to discuss this one, that is The Unfortunate Traveler, the life of Jack Wilton. As I told you, it's a picaresque novel set during the reign of Henry VIII of England. Picaresque novel, again, find a type of the novel, like we have these different types of novels and different types of dramas also. So picaresque is a kind of novel, like epistolary novel, okay, romantic novel, and we have this one also, that's the picaresque kind of novel. So he was considered as the person who, who is originator of this picaresque kind of novel. So Jack Wilton is a page serving in the army of the King Henry VIII of England when his adventures begin. So it's a kind of adventure story, and it has given uh, a kind of move in. It's a kind of historical story, and it has gives us the glimpses of King Henry VIII lifestyle specifically. So how, what was his thought process, how he was looking, and it was through the through his page called Jack Wilton. Okay. Uh, in that case, this is the work where we can find that Henry Howard and the Earl of Surrey, they were the functions as a sustained travel partner of Jack Wilton, and whose journey will to fulfill the Earl pledge, pledge to defend the honor of his beloved Ireland in a tournament. So this, that was the another stuff. So this is about the Thomas Nash. The next person I would like to discuss with you is, all have an idea about him. Very famous personality, the time famous as well as controversial personality of the time. Okay. So we have done Thomas Lily, George Phil, Robert Robert Greene in remaining, Thomas Kidd, Thomas Lodge, Thomas Nash, Thomas Greene. Before moving towards uh, Thomas Gate, Kidd, I would like to discuss about the Robert Greene first. So, um, so we can go forward with these two great personages on Thomas Kidd and Christopher Marlowe. Robert Greene, his time frame is 1558 to 1592. He was considered the first critic of the Shakespeare. He was the one who mentioned Shakespeare in 1592 first. Um, He was a professional notorious writer of the period, and these are some of his work. So first of all, as he was of the university wit, he was very famous for his pamphlet. These are the pamphlet. First one, the Green, it is 92 groats worth of wheat. That was also written in 1592. Bought with the mention of repentance in 1592. All these pamphlets were believed to be an attack on William Shakespeare. So these most of these we see that is these were written in 1592, and they all these pamphlets were believed to be an attack on Shakespeare. He did his BA from Cambridge and MA from Oxford University. So he was the one who have an idea about who was very highly educated person and went to the both universities. So he's mainly the Oxbridge scholar. He published many genres as plays, romances, and autobiographies, etc. Green's literary career began with his publication of Mammalia, a mirror or looking glass for the ladies of England, written in 1953. It dedicated to Lord Darcy of the North. And yeah, it was written in the it's a kind of collaborative work written with the Thomas Lodge. Um, then Green's romances were written in a highly breadth style, which reached its highest level in is Pandosto written 1588 and Menaphone in 1589. Menaphone is dedicated to Lady Hales, wife of the late deceased Sir James Hales. One song from this Menaphone, Weep Not My Wanton, Smile Upon My Knee, a mother's lullaby to her baby son, enjoyed immense success and now probably his best known work. Which one? Weep Not My Wanton, Smile Upon My Knee. In addition to his work, his prose work, he also wrote several plays, but none of them were published in lifetime. Okay, and these plays, one of the famous name you might have heard about the Orlando Furioso, based on this Aristo's Orlando Furioso. The Scottish history of James the Fourth, Alphonsus, Alphonsus. Then Friar Bacon and Friar Bungie. This was another famous book written by him. But yeah, the same thing I'm telling you, that is this work were published that was not published in his lifetime. Yeah, come to the important point. On attacking Shakespeare, he used a term Shakespeare to refer the actor. Green attacked Shakespeare as an upstart pro because at his end time Shakespeare had been an upstart actor, contributing on Henry VI and King John. An upstart crow beautified with feathers is a title quote from the growth worth of wit. So he criticized William Shakespeare um, for his writing. Then he was the one who just feeling he has he has that feeling that he's not getting, the writers of his generation they are not getting the representation or name or frame like name or fame like him Shakespeare. The comical history of Alphonsus, King of Aragon, was also written by Green in 1590. These are the plays written by him. Okay, this is about him. Yeah, let's move towards the one of the famous person of the age, that is Thomas Kidd. Just have a look into it and then we'll discuss. Hope you are hope you getting my point. Any questions regarding this? Any questions regarding this? Yes, anything else? Yeah. So Thomas Kidd. He was an English playwright and the author of the Spanish tragedy or the Hieronymo is mad again. So Thomas Kidd. Most of us uh, we have an ad about the Thomas Kidd and we know very famous for tragedies written by him. He was the follower of the Seneca. Um, and he is famous for his Spanish tragedy written in 1592. Uh, this, this Spanish tragedy is called as a revenge tragedy also. Again, it is a basic example of the play within the play kind of situation. Then there is a comment about the Thomas Kidd, that is Kidd made Seneca bleed white. So whether even though he was inspired by Master Seneca, one of the Italian playwright of the time, he was surpasses him and he given a base tragedy. He has written the base tragedy of the time. It became very famous and non uh, uh, it was the thing which was written in 10 editions before 1634. So we can see that how famous it was at that time. So this is his biographical details and some details in front of us. So he was an English playwright and the author of the Spanish tragedy. He was enrolled in Merchant Sailor School and his fellow students were Edmund Spencer and Thomas Lodge. There is no evidence that Kidd attended any of the universities. Thomas Heywood called him famous Kidd. He is also famous for his Cornelia, but we'll come to it later. Francis Mears placed him among our best for tragedy kind of writer, but Thomas Hawkins uh, discovered that Kidd was named the author of the Spanish tragedy in 1773. He cited a brief quotation from the Spanish tragedy in Thomas Heywood's Apology for Access, which he would attribute it to um, okay. Other works by Kidd are his translation of the Torquato Tasso's Pedredi Famiglia, published as The Householder's Philosophy in 1588, and Robert Garnier's Cornelius. He is also presumed author of a pamphlet in the prose entitled The Murder of John Brevin. So there is no evidence about it, but he was presumed. Then your Hamlet, that is German prefix your means primordial, written in 29. This play is now lost. The earliest such reference occurs in 1589 when Thomas Nash, in his introduction to Robert Greene's Menaphone, implies the existence of an early Hamlet. Yeah, let's come to the point. To this famous one, the Spanish tragedy or Hieronymo is bad again. Is the revenge tragedy. It is often referred to the works of Shakespeare, Ben Jonson, and Marlowe, and it was staged at the Rose, the Rose is the name of the theatre, for Philip Henslowe in 1592. Uh, the Royal Shakespeare Company performed this play in May 1997. Sorry, 1697, not 1997. It's a 1697 at Swan Theatre. Ben Jonson mentioned Hieronymo in the introduction to his Cynthia's Rebel in 1600 and quotes from the play in Everyman in his humor in 1590. Thomas Dekker suggests that Ben Jonson in his early days acted himself as Hieronymo. So T.S. Eliot quoted the title and the play in his poem The Wasteland. It's also appeared in Orhan Pamuk's novel Snow. You might have heard about the Orhan Pamuk, one of the famous writers of the modern age. He won the Nobel Prize in 2006. He has taken this reference from his Spanish tragedy in his work called Snow. I'm talking about the Orhan Pamuk. This play was initiator of the style for many Elizabethan revenge tragedies. As we discussed revenge tragedies, most notably Hamlet. The Spanish tragedy was the first in which appeared a play within a play. So this is the one which acted as a play within a play. Let's talk about these are the characters. Bellambria, Balthazar are the famous. Isabella is another famous character. Don Hieronymo, another the story. Let's talk about the plot. So in the plot, what happened? Uh, the Viceroy of Portugal has rebelled against Spain, but they were defeated. But a Spanish officer, Andrea, is killed in the war by Prince of Portuguese Balthazar. Balthazar is captured by Horatio, son of Hieronymo, but Lorenzo makes dispute with Horatio, who captured Balthazar. Then Andreas goes and the spirit of revenge serves as a chorus. King leaves Balthazar in Lorenzo's charge. Then Lorenzo's sister Bellampria was in love with Andrea, but after his death, she fell in love with Horatio and was to revenge the death of Andrea. Then Balthazar was in the love with Bellampria, and their family concluded that their marriage would repair the peace with Portugal. And this is the main turning point. Lorenzo and Balthazar prepare to murder Horatio. After Horatio is dead, his mother Isabella is driven mad. So Lorenzo locks Bellampria, but she writes a letter in her blood to Hieronymo and informs him that Lorenzo and Balthazar are the murderers of Horatio. Then Hieronymo, along with Bellampria, put on a play, Soliman and Persida. This is the first play where a play appears within a play, unlike in Hamlet. Under the cover of the play, they stab Lorenzo and Balthazar in front of King Viceroy and Duke of Castle. Bellampria kills herself. Hieronymo bites out his own tongue to prevent himself from talking under torture. After that, he killed the Duke and then himself. Andrea and Revenge are satisfied, delivering suitable eternal punishment to guilty party. So this is we can call it as this story or a kind of revenge stuff story within the story. Mm. This is just this tragedy which was mm, written for acts, and as I told you, it has a 10 editions before 1634. You can find this was the period where people have fond of, or let's say fondness for heroic drama. This is also one of the heroic drama which appeared in the time and which had played a very important role in the development of the heroic drama of the period. Even though this one is the revenge tragedy, which it has uh, played a very important role in uh, the development of the tragedy kind of stuff in the drama. So as we just go forward, we can see that William Shakespeare also admire on display, and he used the same model in his work called Hamlet. In Hamlet also we can find the same kind of situation and play within the play kind of stuff situation we can find in Hamlet also. So this is from the one of the late member of the uh, university wits. Let's move and talk about the next impressive personality of this age. The famous writer, and the one had suffered a lot also, and one of the important in history of English literature also. In our syllabus, we always have a question on him. We cannot ask more than anyone other than Christopher Marlowe. Do you have any idea about Christopher Marlowe? Yeah. Christopher Marlowe. So look on it and then we'll discuss. As you know, one of the famous, again, one of the confusing personality of the time, that is Christopher Marlowe. There were secrets that we can call, which is buried with the Christopher Marlowe, and even today he is considering as uh, one of the subject for the research. Okay, one of the marvelous scholar, the one who had played a very important role in the development of the drama of the period, and the one who um, uh, how to put it in words? Yeah, the one who had written work, but chosen his heroes from common life, made him again the one, um, the distinct personality of the age. So first spy of the Queen Elizabeth. This was the introduction of the Christopher Marlowe. Some of they feel it the different one, but yeah, he was the one. He is the one who didn't wrote any comedy. He has heroes from the common life. His first play was Chamberlain the Great, written in 1887, and the productive age of his life. He has written more all of his famous work within the 5 years of lifespan. Studied at Cambridge. Actually, he was a son of poor shoemaker John Marlowe. Uh, but at the age of 23, he written or let's say produced this Chamberlain. He wrote only tragedies during 5 years of his writing career, 1587. A warrant was issued for Marlowe's arrest on 18th May 1593, and no reason was given for it. He was stabbed to death by Ingram Fraser in 1593. This Marlowe's first play was performed on the regular stage in London, 87. That was the Chamberlain the Great. about the conqueror. Tamburlaine was Tamburlaine who raised this from shepherd to warlord. Tamburlaine was a great success, and it was followed by the Tamburlaine the Great Part 2. The two parts of the Tamburlaine were published in 1590. All Marlowe's other works were published posthumously. Yeah, Ben Jonson was the one who coined the phrase called Marlowe's mighty lines. That means Marlowe's blank verse with its new vigor, force, and fire to suit his heroic theme. All Marlowe's tragedies are one-man tragedy. Okay, this is the one thing we should know, that is all of his tragedies are the one-man tragedy, means they were based on the life of only one man. Let's say, like, take the example of the Chamberlain the Great or Jew of Malta, and the very famous, all of us have an idea about it, that is the Adventures of the Doctor, famous Dr. Faustus. Hero and Neander was his unfinished work, later completed by the George Chapman. Okay. Tamburlaine must die. Tamburlaine must die 2004 by Louise Welch, the novella that recounts the last few days of Marlowe. George Phil remembered Marlowe as a Marley, the muse darling. He introduced an important element, that is internal struggle into English. आता खूप वेळा हा शब्द वापरला की इंटरनल स्ट्रगल, इनर टेन्शन, पण दिस वॉज Kishore Marlowe who had introduced this to the English. So Tamburlaine the Great was his first play, written in 1587. Um, this is Shepherd, that is Scythian Shepherd against the Christian. This is the kind of story. Um, his son was coward, and he kills his own son. This is the story of the play, that is the Tamburlaine the Great. Dr. Faustus need not to talk about it. We all have an idea about it. A scholar who just gave his life 24 years to the uh, Saturn, and then how he just changed. Then we can see that how the seven deadly sins and the story, very famous one. Go and have a look into it. Just see uh, the important elements from the Dr. Faustus. Most of them were question on him. Um, then yeah, Hero and Neander, Tamburlaine the Great. Hmm. These are also the things which we have to look into. Yeah, apart from this, Jew of Malta is considered as one of the famous works by Christopher Marlowe. This is presenting the tragedy of Jews again. Not going to discuss the all plot with you. Dr. Faustus, we all have an idea, that is Dr. John George Faust, a German alchemist, astrologer, and magician in the real life. So, full title of the play is The Tragical History of the Life and Death of Dr. Faustus. Its first performance was in 1592 but was published in 1609. It is written in 5 acts. So, Dr. Faustus is a talented German scholar who had born. In the prologue, the chorus introduced the story of Dr. Faustus. Dr. Faustus is compared to the Greek mythological character named is Icarus in the prologue. Wagner is the servant of Dr. Faustus. He was the scholar of theology, and as we just want to go forward, we have see what happened with him. Yeah, he learned everything he could learn. All of these things left him unsatisfied. So now he turns to magic. Very famous one, the role of the Lucifer and the others, the bad and good angels. We have an idea about it. So not going to discuss it in that much deep. It's your role to just go and have a look into it in a deeper sense. Uh, a 20th century theater director, Jerzy Grotowski, produced Dr. Faustus for his theater laboratory in Opel, Poland in 1963. The plot was reduced to single scene in which Faustus on his deathbed is arguing with his students. He also presented double Mephistopheles, replacing good and evil angel. So as we just see, we have important quotes from the Dr. Faustus. Uh, were this Was this the phase that launched the thousand ships? Come, Helen, come, make me immortal with a kiss. Then the reward of sin is death. That is hard. If we say that we have no sin, then I know Hero and Neander was a poem by his. Edward II was considered as one of the famous uh, word of the Marlowe. In Edward II, we can find he has shown some homosexual affection between Edward II and the Gaveston in his play. The first play which talk about the homosexuality on the deeper sense. Yeah, the one thing I would like to tell you that is Shakespeare's Richard II and III are based on the Edward II of the Marlowe. Then Dido, the Queen of Carthage was a short play by Marlowe with possible contribution of Thomas Natch. The sources were this Aeneid, book 1, 2 and 4. So have a look on this work. It will make you make you delight while reading this place, and specifically give the focus on these two writers, Christopher Marlowe and Thomas Kidd. Okay, we'll stop for the day. While coming tomorrow, we'll talk about one of the greatest, one of the good writer, that is William Shakespeare.